Something's wrong with Alabama. They've got problems. There are real problems in Tuscaloosa, and I think Kalen DeBoer can fix it. All in this season? No. But I didn't pick Alabama to win the SEC or the national championship. I think it's pretty clear at this point that's not going to happen. 27-25. The Crimson Tide very nearly go down for the second straight week. That hasn't happened since 2007. It's either 07 or 09. I think it was 07, Saban's first year at the helm. But Kalen DeBoer avoids it, finds a way to win. The biggest problem with Alabama is that Jalen Milroe is trying too hard. He's trying way too hard to make the explosive play, to push it down the field. There's not enough easy stuff in the Alabama offense. And Kalen DeBoer has always had an explosive downfield passing game. I'm not coming on here and advocating to remove that from the Alabama offensive repertoire. But this game flipped when Alabama blew a coverage on fourth down. That's got to be corrected. Kane Womack did not make the necessary adjustments from last week to this week. That's got to be fixed. And that, I think, is a bigger problem than Jalen Milroe. But then Jalen Milroe goes out there and throws an inexplicably bad interception at the end of the half, and South Carolina goes down and gets a field goal because of it. And Jalen Milroe also had a safety in this game that gave South Carolina momentum. This was 14-0. Bama was cruising. I thought they were going to dominate this game, and it looked like they were going to. They were up 14-0 with South Carolina staring at a fourth down and 8. And then all of a sudden you look up and Alabama has allowed 19 unanswered points. And you're going, what just happened? What just happened? And there's something missing in that Crimson Tide locker room and on that sideline and in those huddles on game days where they get into good positions and then they get too excited. They get over their skis. They're gliding down the hill. They're in French fry mode. I don't ski, but I know French fry and pizza. They're in French fry mode. And then maybe occasionally they should shift it to pizza, and just kind of slowly cruise on down. But then they really feel good and they get riled up. And then all of a sudden they lean forward a little and any wakeboarders out there? I myself am nothing special, but when you wakeboard or water ski, that's where you get the expression out over your skis. You lean too far forward and you're thinking, I got this. I'm the man. We're cruising. We're good. I could lean anywhere. Oh dear. That's what Alabama is doing. They are leaning out in front. Stay back. Be content playing a style of football that keeps you winning. They just feel like they forced the issue too many times. So I think that can be corrected. The secondary problems, rut-row-raggy. They reared their ugly head again, and I don't know how quickly Kane Womack and company can fix that. Injuries or not, they're just having communication problems. I mean, fourth down and 8, and Lenora Zellers has all day to throw. I don't think Alabama's defensive line is the problem. They forced 3 fumbles in this game. Side note on the Gamecocks, they blew this one. So Alabama got a gift. Christmas came early to Tuscaloosa because there was a present wrapped under the tree, and they opened and said, 3 fumbles for me? South Carolina, boy, had a big chance to turn the tide. I think South Carolina is a decent football team. I've seen that throughout the year. Vanderbilt beat Kentucky, by the way. I'm so sorry, Vandy. I don't know what I was thinking, ever doubting you. But Diego Pavia strikes again in Lexington. My goodness, what a victory for Clark Lee and company. Might have to talk about that with its own segment next week, which might be the first ever full segment that Vanderbilt's ever gotten on this show. We'll see. But Alabama on 4th and 8 doesn't get pressure, and it's like a 40-yard touchdown on 4th and 8. Those issues have persisted. The Jalen Milroe issues, I think Kalen DeBoer can rein him in, but he's too jittery in the pocket. He needs to learn to sit there sometimes. He needs to learn to take a check down or throw the football away or live to fight another play. He's not doing that right now. So there are real problems in Tuscaloosa, but they can, not saying they will, but they can be fixed this year. You know who's fixed their problems from early in the season? LSU. And you can't mention LSU without the week 1 game to USC. And Lincoln Riley blew that one hard. I'll talk about that more next week, but that was a bad display. I felt so good about my upset pick. And then USC, let's call a spade a spade. They choked 20-6 lead at the half, at home, and you lose? Boy, mismanagement at the end of the game as well. Not good times in Los Angeles for Lincoln Riley and company. But I don't know how they progress. I know how LSU progresses. Remember when they lost to USC? What was your thinking about LSU? Well, all right. Well, there's Brian Kelly underachieving again. There's this Death Valley at night. Chef's kiss. This was, as I said, the greatest college football day in recent memory. It was hyped up to that and somehow went above and beyond. I didn't think that was possible, but here we are. It is past midnight where I live as I am recording this show. I will not be asleep for 3 hours and I'm waking up in 6. That's the kind of day it was. The adrenaline is pumping, coursing throughout my veins, and I'm here for it because this is the greatest sport on planet Earth. And it feels that way to LSU fans once again. Remember, LSU does not have an SEC loss. Remember, LSU hosts Alabama at some point this season. I'm going to get the exact date here because that game is going to loom very, very large. LSU schedule the rest of the year. They convert a big 4th down. Disappointing loss for Ole Miss, by the way. Disappointing. They had it won. They just needed a 4th down stop. Couldn't get it. They couldn't get it. Here's the schedule for LSU. Again, have not lost an SEC game. At Arkansas, tough game. At Texas A&M, tough game. Host Alabama. At Florida, host Vanderbilt, host Oklahoma, who I'm talking about later, and Oklahoma is not a very good football team. How many of those games do you think LSU can win? How many do you think LSU needs to win to get into the college football playoff? That's a separate conversation from how many do they need to win to get in the SEC title game. There is some serious cannibalization going on in the SEC. There is no one team that is head and shoulders above everybody else. That includes Georgia, who played a game against Mississippi State, was not as close as the final score indicated, but we've seen Georgia look vulnerable this year. Because by the transitive property, they could lose to Vanderbilt on a given day. What can't happen in this league? What can't happen in the SEC right now? LSU, here they come. I'm a big Garrett Nussmeier fan. Have been since I saw him play in that game against USC. And I believe my takeaway at the time was, look, you're going to write off LSU. You're going to write off Garrett Nussmeier. Don't, because they've made progress defensively. They hold Ole Miss to 26 points in overtime. And Garrett Nussmeier, he's that guy. He's just that guy. He's waited around. He's waited his turn. I thought I'd be saying the same thing about Miller Moss in this game or on this day once again. I am not, because USC fell. But Garrett Nussmeier is a guy that is a traditional story in college football that can be fleeting in this, the greatest sport in the world. But LSU, make no mistake about it, tough schedule ahead, to be sure. But I don't look at a lot of those games and think, well, they have to play X, Y, and Z. I look at a lot of those games and say X, Y, and Z has to play LSU. Because the Tigers, with that win against a good Ole Miss team, they've turned a corner. And the SEC better watch out because they have not lost a conference game yet.